Welcome to Southwest Desert, where adventure meets the arid beauty of the American Southwest. Join us as we explore the rugged landscapes, uncover hidden historical gems, and dive deep into the rich legends and culture of this iconic region. Subscribe now and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on our latest desert adventures. Please leave a like or comment. This is very helpful. Let's journey together into the heart of the Southwest Desert. The year is 1886. A small band of Apache warriors stands surrounded by U.S. soldiers in the rugged mountains of Arizona. Their leader, a man who has evaded capture for decades, who has become a legend whispered around campfires and military outposts throughout the Southwest, steps forward to surrender his rifle. His name strikes fear into the hearts of settlers and soldiers alike: Geronimo. But who was this man before he became the most feared Apache warrior in American history? What childhood forged such an indomitable spirit? Today we journey back to the early 1800s, to the wind-swept canyons where a baby named Goyahkla, one who yawns, entered the world, destined to become the legendary Geronimo. In the rugged landscape where Arizona and New Mexico meet, along the middle fork of the Gila River, a child was born in the summer of 1823. This borderland of steep canyons, swift-flowing rivers, and sun-baked plateaus would shape not just the child's character but his very understanding of the world. Though he would later claim 1829 as his birth year in Nodoyan Canyon, Arizona, historians have since determined the earlier date to be more accurate based on the timeline of events in his life. The debate about his birthplace has evolved over time as well. Initially thought to be near Clifton, Arizona, later evidence pointed to New Mexico along the forks of the Gila River. His nephew Declugi specifically testified that Geronimo was born along the middle fork of the Gila northeast of Clifton. Modern historians now generally agree that his birthplace was indeed in New Mexico. This child, named Goyahkla, meaning one who yawns, would one day be known to the world as Geronimo, the fierce Apache warrior whose name would become synonymous with resistance and defiance. The contrast between his peaceful birth name and his future as a warrior couldn't be more striking. Goyahkla, suggesting a sleepy, passive character, gave little indication of the fierce fighter he would become. Born to Taclashim, the Gray One, a member of the Bedonkohe band of Chiricahua Apaches, and son of the great chief Mako, and his mother Juana, a full-blooded Apache with a Mexican name suggesting possible time as a captive, young Goyahkla entered a world defined by tradition, ritual, and the harsh beauty of the American Southwest. In his autobiography, Geronimo's story of his life, narrated through his nephew Asa Declugi and edited by S.M. Barrett, Geronimo recalled his earliest days with surprising tenderness. As an infant, I rolled on the dirt floor of our home, hung in my cradle board suspended from tree boughs, warmed by the sun, rocked by the winds, and sheltered by the trees. Like other Apache children, Goyahkla's early life was marked by freedom and play. He and his siblings, 3 brothers and 4 sisters, though only one was his true sister, the others being cousins, as Apache custom did not distinguish between siblings and cousins, would play around their father's home. They engaged in games of hide and seek, war games imitating adult behavior, played with handmade toys, and hunted for berries and nuts. The children enjoyed remarkable freedom, often stealing away to places several miles distant to play all day without supervision or punishment. They wore minimal clothing, little in winter and none in summer, and were, by Geronimo's own account, coddled by their parents. Apache life was rich with ceremony, each milestone in a child's development marked by sacred rituals that connected the individual to the tribe and to the spirits that governed their world. Young Goyahkla's earliest years were punctuated by these important ceremonies that would shape his identity as an Apache. The 4-day cradleboard blessing ceremony was particularly significant. The family hired a respected medicine man who performed elaborate rituals over the infant's cradleboard, invoking protection from Usen and other benevolent spirits. When Goyahkla took his first tentative steps, the tribe gathered for the moccasin ceremony, blessing his first footwear and symbolically blessing the path his feet would travel throughout life. The carefully crafted first moccasins represented his journey into the tribe and the world beyond. The haircutting ceremony, performed when he was somewhat more than a year old, carried deep spiritual significance. Hair was considered sacred to the Apache, containing part of the person's spiritual essence. This first cutting, done with reverence and specific prayers, was a crucial moment in establishing the child's identity within the tribe. Once he reached what the Apache called the age of understanding, his education began in earnest. Elders taught him Apache traditions and oral history. His father instructed him in hunting and warfare traditions, while his mother shared legends, myths, and prayers to the Apache god Usen. He learned about supernatural beings, good and evil creatures, dreaded ghosts and witches, who controlled the Apache's daily lives. Around the age of 5, Goyahkla's childhood took a more serious turn. This marked the formal separation of boys from girls in Apache society and the beginning of training to become a useful member of adult society. Join my Patreon community and discover my art print products on my website in the links provided in my description and link above. Also, if you would like a particular image from my videos, give the timestamp for image, and I will upload it to my website and Patreon. Thank you. War training fundamentals became a central focus. What had once been games transformed into serious training exercises with life-or-death implications. Young boys like Goyahkla spent countless hours perfecting their skills in competitive arrow shooting, developing the precision that would later serve them in both hunting and warfare. They engaged in grueling races that built stamina crucial for both pursuit and escape. Wrestling matches taught them how to overpower opponents using leverage and technique rather than mere strength. The sacred hoop and pole game held special significance. Custom dictated that only males could participate in this ritual sport that combined physical skill with spiritual meaning. The game involved throwing poles at rolling hoops, requiring extraordinary precision and timing, skills directly transferable to hunting and combat. Both boys and girls learned critical survival techniques, including the creep and freeze method, which appeared playful but taught children the vital skill of remaining absolutely motionless for hours when hiding from enemies. For boys like Goyahkla, the physical training regimen was particularly brutal, a deliberate system designed to create warriors capable of superhuman endurance and resilience. Each morning, regardless of season, they were plunged into rivers or lakes. Even when ice skinned the water, their young bodies forced to adapt to extreme conditions. The running regimens were equally intense. Young Apache boys ran punishing distances on flat land to build base endurance, then graduated to mountain running, sprinting up steep inclines while controlling their breathing in the thin air. To teach breath control crucial for stalking prey or enemies, instructors had them hold mouthfuls of water while running long distances. If they swallowed or spilled the water, they faced additional training or public embarrassment. Perhaps most striking were the strength-building exercises. Boys spent hours hitting the bark and trunks of trees with their bare hands, gradually deadening the nerve endings while building calluses thick as leather. The Apaches placed immense importance on endurance and tactical retreat. Running long distances without tiring was essential, and the Apaches quickly assessed confrontational situations. Retreat when outnumbered or when women and children were threatened was not considered cowardice but practical wisdom. Survival was the prime guiding force of Apache existence. Goyahkla remembered his early life as filled with peace. The Bedonkohe Apaches lived quietly, isolated from the outside world. While most Apache boys began hunting at age 14, Goyahkla was described as a prodigy, starting much earlier, between the ages of 8 and 10. He found great joy in hunting, saying, "To me this was never work." As Goyahkla entered adolescence, social ceremonies gained new significance. Despite the limited contact between boys and girls since age 5 or 6, supervised courting took place during social occasions, including dancing with opposite-sex partners. But the peace of Goyahkla's childhood was not to last. Before he reached maturity, his father Taklashim died after a long illness, marking a profound turning point in the young man's life. The Apache funeral customs were elaborate and deeply meaningful. Family and friends bathed the deceased, dressed him in his best clothes, painted his face red, and wrapped him in his finest blanket. He was placed on his favorite horse with all his belongings. The family expressed their grief with loud wails and dressed in their oldest clothes. Only family and closest friends participated in the funeral. Taklashim was buried in a cave in the hills with all his possessions. His horse was sacrificed so he would have a ride to the spirit world. After the cave was sealed, its location was kept secret, never revealed to others, and the burial site was never visited by family afterward. In one of the most poignant acts of the funeral, Taklashim's favorite horse was sacrificed at the burial site, ensuring he would have a ride to the spirit world, a journey no Apache should make on foot. With his father's death, Goyahkla, not yet an adult, became the sole support of his widowed mother and his sisters. His idyllic childhood had ended, and he faced the transition to adult responsibilities and obligations without a father's guidance. The trials that would forge the peaceful, yawning boy into the fierce warrior Geronimo were just beginning. The Apache way of life, the one that had shaped Goyahkla's childhood, would soon face existential threats. The outside world that the Bedonkohe had managed to keep at bay would soon come crashing into their peaceful existence, and the boy trained in the harsh art of Apache warfare would need to call upon every lesson, every skill, every endurance test he had mastered in his youth. The man who would one day lead the last Native American fighting force to formally surrender to the United States was shaped by this childhood, by the freedom to play for miles without supervision, by bathing in ice-cold water, by learning to remain perfectly still for hours, by pulling saplings from the ground with his bare hands, by the sacred ceremonies that marked each milestone, and by the early loss of his father that thrust him into manhood before his time. Thank you for joining your desert frontiersman Alan for another Southwest story. Check out my large catalog of Southwest videos and playlists on historical tales, legends, lost gold stories, and adult bedtime stories. If you would like a certain image from my videos, tell me in comments and give timestamp. Happy trails! Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more great content. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.